Dharmabytes is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
The Buddha is now going to pass away. They get to a grove of sal trees near Kusinara, and the Buddha says to Ananda, "Ananda, prepare me a bed between these two sal trees. With my head to the north, I am tired and I want to lay down." And the Buddha lays down on his right side in the lion posture, mindful and clearly aware. And then in the story, as the Buddha lays down on the place where he's going to die, passing to parinibbana, all sorts of things start to happen. The sal trees burst into blossom. Flowers and perfume powders rain down from the sky. Lovely music and songs start to sound from the sky, and the Buddha's body shines with a golden light. But Ananda is distraught. The Buddha's companion, Ananda, he's distraught. He's seen standing, leaning up against the doorpost of his lodging, weeping and wailing. And he seems to have two laments, two things he is weeping about. First, he doesn't know how he himself is going to get on when the Buddha dies. He thinks, I am still a long way from enlightenment, and the teacher is passing away. He seems to doubt that he can make it. He seems to think, well, I've not got anywhere, and I'm not going to get anywhere if the Buddha's not here. I can't do it without my teacher. So he doubts his spiritual ability. He thinks he needs the Buddha to get anywhere. That's one of the things that he seems to be weeping and wailing about. But Ananda's second lament is more maybe just plain human grief. He is struck with grief that a man he loves is apparently dying, is not going to be here anymore. He mourns, he is passing away, he who was so kind. That's what it says in one translation. In another translation it says, he who was so compassionate. He who was so kind is passing away. He who was so compassionate. Ananda loves the Buddha for his kindness and his compassion. And he is simply grief-stricken that a person he loves will soon be gone. At quite a human level. And the Buddha hears that Ananda is overcome with grief at his imminent death. And he sends for him. He sends some of his followers to go and he says, go and bring Ananda to me. When Ananda arrives, he gives him a bit of a gentle Dharma teaching, as you might expect. Just the sort of thing you want to hear. All conditioned things pass. All delightful things come to an end. You know that, Ananda. You know that. Maybe that's what we'd expect the Buddha to say. We might expect him to give a wisdom perspective, but he goes on. And the Buddha goes on. He says to Ananda, Ananda, you have been practicing loving kindness, metta. You have been putting others' interests before your own desires for a long time now. You've been practicing in this way, he says, beneficially, blessedly, wholeheartedly and unstintingly, serving the Buddha, serving the Dharma. He says, you, Ananda, have achieved much merit. You have gathered a lot of spiritual power and spiritual momentum, in other words, by the way you have lived. So he tells Ananda, Ananda, you are close to enlightenment because you've lived so long in this life of service and metta. You are close to enlightenment. Keep practicing, and in a short time you will reach the goal. So he addresses Ananda's first concern, the concern that he's not going to be able to get anywhere once the Buddha's gone, by telling him, actually, Ananda, you're close to enlightenment. You can do it very quickly. And then he does something maybe quite surprising. He turns to the whole gathering, the whole assembly that they've got together there to witness the Buddha's passing. He turns to that whole assembly and he addresses them all and launches into a public speech of praise of Ananda. He says, Ananda has served me selflessly and well. He has been an essential part of my work and my mission on this planet. Just as every Buddha, he says, needs someone like Ananda to be successful. He says Ananda is wise and he tells this big assembly why Ananda is wise. He says Ananda has 4 wonderful and remarkable qualities, which are, whenever anyone comes to see Ananda, they are pleased at the sight of him, they are pleased to hear his voice, they are disappointed if they don't see him, and they are disappointed if they don't hear him talk. So Ananda the sight of Ananda, the sound of his voice gladdens people. They're disappointed if they don't see him. This is Ananda. You can imagine that he's addressing this great group of people with Ananda by his side, going on so fulsomely about Ananda's great qualities. What a great man he is. What a lovely man he is. And finally he says, Ananda is like a great noble king. Just to see him and hear his voice gladdens people, and they're disappointed when he's not around. For me, this is actually one of the most moving passages in the Pali Canon. And one of the most notable examples of rejoicing in merit. So we try and make a practice of rejoicing in merit, of talking about the good in people, because that brings out the good in people. It allows the good in people to blossom and develop. And here is an example of the Buddha himself doing this, rejoicing in Ananda's merit in this very, very public way, at this very important time, giving these very full praises of Ananda in front of this huge gathering.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharmabite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.